the 직접 조사하면서 와지 네 제가 망보요래 직접된 맹장 세만 잡아지 그래서 다지 요몽 독나네 또목 대신이 강그 차를 요구를 맹장 속 조건을 차지하는 사이가 맹장 속을 또목내요 그래서 가이 그 맹장 맹지 좋나 왜냐 마음을 주고 이기다 고면도 같이 되는 거 갈라고 딱도 그래 뒤는 이제 같이 보여요 뒤에 맹지다 미시서 찾나 맹지 이게 지네 이게 지를 가사가 여기 맹지를 지나 나치들이 좋아요도 그래서 다 샤소면 그 맹지를 빼자지 보도 맹지 지를 뿌뿌 마음 잡을 때문에 자지 보여래 남치들이 좋아도 빼 사도로 가고 와야지 맹지짓을 잡아요래 텔라티네 다다다란 게 맹네 다 용디 주는 거 자체 거리 중중을 코소란 거를 코소를 첫상마다는 맹지 가리 맹지 가리 맹지 살로더니 또 많이 책도 말이 이 맹만 보여래 지명지 주는 거 맹지 그 저도 제고야 가리 오 다른 맹지로 랍초리 실부서 맹 좋아서 나오 있는 바디 따따려 그 요리 대하고서 된 출발에 하고 맹지보다 좀 말이 또 많이 맹지는 무서워 이 맹지서 무슨 속으로 속으로 찾다기다 속은 또 많이 산이 메다동 맹가가 말이 속가가 말이 나 가리서 못한 거리 대하고서 들이 줄을 또 받지나 매 받지나 가서 맹지 초아대 속도 랩트만 세부터를 내고 조바타 좀 공사 대리에는 같이 다들들이랑 맹지 조선 앞에지 만주바지지 오때 매치 지와리는 뜰나장 초요해 어떻게 오나자 매나자 이 초아지감 람상때 시장나지 된 문제네 오 시장 문제지 약수지 대지에 조바 직접 총차 대라 조바고 조바는 탈도 같은 일이 차한 거래 네 말하는 배송을 백이 침보요래 들면당 속지와 됐다 먹었다와 내가 요래
So here we're talking about the harsh words, the weapons of others' harsh words, and that's actually we can relate that to all kinds of different situations, especially, for example, and it is related to our fixation to names and characteristics. So, of the 5 poisons, that is ignorance. So it is said that, actually the Buddha had said that within one's name and body dwells ignorance. And so what he meant with that is that when you identify with your body, so your name, your body is kind of your name, and when somebody calls your name, for example, calls my name, then I don't hear anything else that is being said. All I hear is my name. So I hear like Garchen, and then immediately I look around, what are they saying about me, and nothing else what they say really matters. So that is how it is when there's really strong fixation in the mind. And then when you have died, often when people have died, then we write their name on a piece of paper for like dedications, and actually wherever their name is written, the consciousness goes there. And so that's why it's significant to write their name, so we are actually summoning them. And that's one custom of the Eastern tradition. When somebody passes away, they write the name of the deceased on a piece of paper and put it on the altar and burn some incense and make prayers. They consider this name very precious, because at that time the consciousness of the deceased is like a feather blown by the wind and very light, and it follows their name. So when you call for their name, then that's where the consciousness goes to. And so in general now for us, when somebody calls our name and praises our good qualities, then we develop pride. And when we hear somebody speak ill of us, we get angry. So actually, what are we really having a feeling, a reaction about? It is just because they called some kind of name. What is it actually? Actually, it is nothing but empty words. It's not just my name, there is countless different names. So why does that generate a reaction to me when somebody just says an empty word, which happens to be my name? So why is it that I really actually pay attention to that? Actually, anybody could say anything. It is because I identify with this name. I think this is I. When I hear my name, immediately, instantly, I feel like that's me. And that is important to recognize as the confusion. That's the confusion. The belief that when you hear your name, to immediately think, oh, that's me. That's confusion. Actually, this name is false. It's not what you really are. It's empty. You think that that's what you are, and that's your name. But who is it really? Is it your body, your body's name? When you look at your body, in the end, the body will die and it will be burned into ashes. So you are not your name, and you are not your body. So then what is it that generates this reaction when somebody praises or blames you? Why does this feeling arise? So this is how you should think in order to practice patience at that time. And that's really the actual way to practice patience. When you hear someone say your name and then insult you in some way, then normally our mind becomes stirred up. So no matter what others actually say, you should recognize this feeling of resentment arising within you. Actually, the recognition of such resentment is actually the best kind of patience to practice. So when it comes to practicing patience, the ultimate or actual patience, we practice when when we have to bear the weapons of others' harsh words. So this is what Milarepa is saying here. One's name and form is really the ultimate ignorance.
The sector somewhere maiba the doyungan jeva kala yena tolo yena takeja jamra yena ja zo ja che ro za doyunga tirtini yiga mongo chao jeti dancing ga hakore o dancing chung ris bin kala de rang go na ji ta Spain tang da ti la so chwa me na da ru me ya cha ko le ti kam ni ti da san chung chung ti kai ji no ti me la mu ni zo ko me do zo ko ne ka ya ma le ra ki chi po le ti chi po zo ji na ti ko na ga ju nga mo cha cha su ji ni na sa yo ko le chi ba le shi o ti zo ko pi na me jan na sa ko le shi ta zo pa yo ko le Zuccoluni non vanno si buona banco ste melur moche da poggiagori zuccoli chiesto mares te lo sanno tanti gli domando io tanti le giocavamo con sai un gori te ti kala kaina satava te tu kaina chumutava dunga kaina 요난데 미난데 과체다 같은 창양자 제삼비 조바리 이동 요 탐지 시장 차차 연구요리 되게 디 직접 직불 배잖아 시장 뭐 요 탐지라고 딱 제다면 되게 시장 차차 좀 무슨 거예요.
So here the teaching is on harsh words, but actually this instruction does not only apply to harsh words, but actually we can apply that to any of the 5 sense objects that we enjoy or come into contact with. For example, it could be about wearing clothing or eating food or any kind of conversation, form, sound, smell, touch, taste, and so on. So when we encounter some kind of object that we dislike, something that we dislike, there is this very subtle dislike about this. And from that arises a very subtle form of resentment, of aversion. For example, about food. If you don't like the food be too much chili or too hot, then it doesn't taste so nice. So you don't want to eat it. But if you practice, then you would think that, is it really actually harming me? And if it's not actually bad for you, if your tongue doesn't like it, then you should still eat it. And then the same is with the other way around. We like sweet things, but then that could lead to diabetes and so on. So those things that are good for your body but don't taste so good, you should eat them. And so this is one way of practicing patience. And if it's bad for your body, then even if it tastes very nice, you should not eat it. So this is how we can practice patience in this way. And this actually, what's most important is just to think that I do have to take care of my precious human body. So whatever is good for my body, I'm going to eat that. But I'm not going to consider the tongue, the flavor is more important. So this is how we can practice with unpleasant sense objects. So if you practice patience in this way, then eventually you will be able to eat anything or wear anything, and any of the 5 sense pleasures. They will all become the same, whether they're here or not. So whenever you encounter a displeasing, a repulsive sense object, a subtle form of aversion arises, and then at that time you practice patience. So that's just one example here. It can really be applied to anything that we find unappealing or repulsive and so on. Then it's important to recognize this subtle form of resentment.
취직이 자와 강제나 되게 처지들 접촉이 오마래 변나 뒤접어서 누가 가리 매디기 약하고 달래가 제거나 내가 내로 삼아이 용거 말이야 야 진짜 내가 너무 제가 고만 양양듯이 내가 딱딱하면 좋가죠 마정지 네 다른 저거는 산이 저거는 나도 저거는 쓰러 다 변는데 공리가 제우나 저거 가봤다고 제 랑산 린지 책도 딱딱하다 발리 자리 대야 대상진 직디서 뒤길 체인들은 오 몇지 니마디너리시 몇지 간지 리가세 나고 좀 몇지 저 고요리 그래도 또 타고를 내가 참에 다 같이 돼서 가져만 좋지 저리 소소 배 라차라고 요리 내가 가정만 정치는 바로 보지 좀 좋구나. 같이 내가 친구 좋도 내로 좀 되는 거예요. 대낭이 갑을 개서 사와서 있는 배낭서 다 체인지 사와라. 스마니 강치와야 돼. 체 스마 강치와야 돼. 체 스마 로 잡다 동타만 부르나 머리 양자 마타 파데 단도를 과다고 그래. 나를 소나면은 체도 그래. 샤중만 다 그래. 체도 좋지나. 체도 좋지나. 다들 내가 다 맞을 체도 되면 좀 수업 파쇼. 들으더니 들으랑 그 개서 와서나 배나 만도 당연히 만도 그거 다시 좀 내지 내로 좀 내지 내가 다 이렇게 오지 저간에 책을 자 달아서 엄마를 빼면 홍 엄마를 빼면 내로면 좀들이 엄마를 빼면 홍 엄마를 빼면 다 달아서 연구요리 대나게 다사고 용 대촌 제가 대다가 덮고요리 근데 죽어서 와는 따뜻한 샤워 가리나 고들이랑 그 마탑을 맞도 따다 좀 되라 들이대라 다 준주치 받대리 중자 중강기라 좋아서 들이가 준지 가리래 따다 좀 들이대면 따다랑 내가 타통 내가 덮고요리 내가 샤워하는 내가 덮고요리 제문에 저 취지디 사와하는 내가 덮고요 말이들이 내가 뭐 속에서 내로다 형네이라 내로 형네이라 다들 네가 대단 그래 대사는 다 배차도 덤나 배차도 덤나 오 배차도 yap고 덤 따라서는 디스나리 배차도 사지문에 사지 그 공부 받지 뭐 배차를 그 받지 배차 좋아지 배가도 거마줘지 배차가 뜨나 사지고 좀 좋지 송조에 어디를 배차들 그 잡지나 가세 좋아지는 저 쓰는 거 소조고요 그는 기본을 못 쓰면 배텀이고 이제 배차 주간 로마서 때 배텀이고 옆에 추추이나 마음을 머리 섬나더니 돌로지 같으니 철기들이 약고 좋을 가이나 뒤스는 또 그러지 배차도 사지문에 때를 텀이고 잡 들 그바세치나 저는 망고들이 좋은 거래지. 야, 배차는 나자 앞에나 또 하고요. 야, 배차는 또 왔대 바깥에 전에 시합들 동하고 두고요. 대다가들이 중주리 때문에 용딩 부서는 족하다 내로 놈을 했더니 취직이 사악한 노르고요. 길 중주리 앞에 사악한 길 좋고요. 삼지게 비도 얼마나 딱딱 쓰유시.
So the next is about laziness. It says, what benefit is there in the striving for virtue that is not free from laziness and sloth? So speaking about the faults of laziness here, how it becomes a hindrance to practicing the Dharma. There is 7 concepts of ignorance, and one of them is laziness. It's one form of ignorance. And when you are lazy, then you will not accomplish anything, actually, whether it's a Dharma practice or a mundane activity. And so then many problems come from that. For example, in a worldly sense, if you have a job, you go to work, then you might not do your job really properly and really precisely and in a timely manner. So you will be more carefree and careless and postpone from today to tomorrow or from morning to evening and so on. So instead of doing that, if one is diligent and not lazy, one would immediately do whatever comes. So whatever has to be done now will be done now. Or if a phone call comes in, you would pick up immediately, and you would do whatever needs to be done right at that time without postponing it to another point. And if you become a person like that who gets things done right on time, and you do it without postponing and so forth, and you take every call and you do everything, then such a person will be considered a reliable person. And then everybody wants to have that person around them. Of course, we prefer to be careless and lazy, but then also we do need to accomplish some things. We do need some money, for example. So there's many faults that come from laziness in a worldly sense. And then from a Dharma perspective, when we practice the Dharma, what is more important? Is it this life or future lives? Future lives are much more important because there are hundreds and thousands of future lives to come. And we might not again obtain a precious human body then if we do not possess enough merit and good karma. So this life is actually just like the dream of a single night. And even if we just focus on this life, if we are lazy in this life, we will not even accomplish anything good in this life, leave alone any future life. Or, for example, if you practice the Dharma, you think that I want to practice virtue, I want to practice the Dharma, so I'm reciting the Mani mantra. But then if you're really lazy and careless about it, not very precise, then you will just maybe slur the mantra, so you can't even discern the syllables. So it becomes like kind of something like that. You don't even know what you're actually reciting. So that's like kind of a sluggish, dull mind. So you think that you're practicing virtue, but actually, when you really want to practice virtue, then you would pay attention to announcing each of those syllables. So you would say Om Mani Padme Hum, each of those syllables very clearly. And then as a result of that, there will be a fruition. And only then there will be an actual fruition. So it's the same for Dharma activities. Also in Dharma activities, nothing is accomplished if we are lazy. So also we have to fulfill our practices, whatever we need to do, timely and precisely. The definition of diligence is a delight in virtue. One finds joy in practicing virtue. So if you pay attention to that and fulfill all your activities and duties in the Dharma and the world precisely and in a timely way, then that will lead to the accomplishment of that activity, happiness now and also ultimately in future lifetimes and when you attain enlightenment. And so the reason why we practice is in order to attain a result. So if we are lazy, then we will not attain any fruition and result from that. When we are lazy, often people who are really kind of lazy and careless, they say, for example, oh, it's all okay, it's fine like that. They don't really pay much attention to much of the detail. For example, when you're wrapping a scripture into a scripture cloth, now you should wrap it very nicely, very neatly, and with great care. And that is a great merit, because the scripture is the actual Buddha. The Buddha himself actually had said that you should respect the scriptures even more than a statue of the Buddha, for example. It is said in the scriptures that you cannot even put a Buddha statue on top of a scripture, because the scripture is much more precious, so you have to respect the scripture even more. And the more care and respect you pay to the scripture, the more merit you are accumulating. That was actually an instruction that I received from Khenpo Rinpoche, Khenpo Munsel. He always said that you have to wrap your scriptures with great care, with great mindfulness, so it's very nice and neat. And if you do that, if you take great care of that, then in future lifetimes you will when you obtain a precious human body, you will have very neat and beautiful clothing and just a kind of a proper appearance, kind of respectable appearance. So that's the merit of that, because you have really offered robes actually to the scriptures. And also when you respect the scriptures, as a result of that, you will develop wisdom and understand the meaning of those scriptures. So diligence is the opposite of laziness and sloth. And when you're very lazy and not very mindful in what you're doing, you will make a lot of mistakes in the Dharma and also in the world. So whatever it is that you have to do, or that you have to accomplish, whatever you do, you have to be careful that you do it your best, that you do it accurately and in a timely way.
Rāsī yīwā mā pāngwē, Dr. Gōmbē chāla pēng sōng. Gōm jā jīne tātā gōm tsurdō rā shēnē dā lāng sōng rī. Tāngi gōm jā kē wā chī. Tērā gōm tērā ñam jā lā bē. Gōm ñam jā kāmi kāi lā kō. Shēnē gōm nī nām tō chī kiāng wē bē sēm. Ngō chī kī shibā sā wā tē lāng sōng lā wā rī. Ô, shibā sā wā tē tērī shirab. Tērā lāng tō chū bē shirab. Tērī kawā kārī nā. Sēmē yūmō bā tān dē, mā rī yūmō bā, yūmō wāng sōng sō tē tā gō rī. Ñam jā gā ñam yōng jī tōp chū lām tāng sē gō sōng. Tā wā gōng bā chū bā tāng, tā wā hā kō sōng, kāng rī, shī bā sāp tōng tā hī mī bā, shī bā sāp tōng tē sā wā rī. Gōng bā tē tē gōng sōng. Tē chūlam tāmchī rā sē, chūlam tāmchī rā tēnī tātā, kōsō parvā ñamī tāmchī rā, chūpa sō sī yīndi. Tāpa tsōng gōmbā chāng chūpa sō dī. Gōmbā chāng dī na, chūpa sō dī mā tēnī shirab dā mī na, nyūmbā bō dī shō yungu yō rī pē na, shirā gōmbā shō yungu yō rī. Tē wē na tēnī tātā, rāngsī yīng dī na, bā mī bā gā tēnī, tōng dā mī bā. Tēnī, lunga gosam pami pare yuan sholo tiri je tungu mi pe sawa ma ko toko yore ta nga ja la tsoban tepe ji jo ma ngo tera samlo tang di yuwa ka ka ko te nam ying zina nam to zoya mi pa tepe ji jo ma ngo tera tsoba re je yore ji shirab te una dari ji shi yore te tena choto tungu mi wa ha ko cham jo ko yore kashi tata sawa drukwa di je na tela tsoba di nyungo wa je ma je ha ko re pena je neba tangwa je dangsem je je dangsem je ha ko ne dangsem je shirge de ni nerok je toko yore sawa druk choko yore druk je de tang shi yin so ji shi me wa je de na ba ye wa je tiri ka ni nyungo chung chung ma wo so so tiri sem je de pena nyoma je je chada je tang tiri ji ma shirab de ha ko sawa cha so ma re Trisha Bodu me va chando vere donna gombiadi langtong ko tawati tulam tamji ro kogores tesa madra che go
So then for meditation, it says, what benefit is there in forced meditation that is not free of the distraction of mind? So when we meditate, what we call meditation is the practices of calm abiding and insight. So you think, I'm meditating. You are in a meditative state of calm abiding, for example. So what calm abiding actually is, this kind of meditation, what that actually is a mind that is free of all conceptual thinking. And then when you recognize this calm state with clear awareness, that is insight. And that is wisdom. The wisdom that knows what to do and what not to do. There's a clarity that knows what to do and what not to do. So you need some introspection, seeing, is my mind free of afflictive emotions, or am I actually being controlled by afflictive emotions? It is said that the experience gained in meditation session must be merged with the daily conduct, must be brought into the post-meditative state. We speak about the view, meditation, and conduct. So first, you understand the view. And what do you understand here? You understand the nature of your mind as being clear and empty, the clear and empty nature of your mind that is free of all mental fixation. So you've recognized that. Meditation is to habituate that, and conduct is to bring that experience of having habituated to the view also into your daily life, into your conduct. In the Vajrakilaya practice, for example, when we speak about view, meditation, and conduct, the conduct is the life force that is to be seized. In the Vajrakilaya practice, it is that the view one attains the fortress of the view. One crosses the abyss of meditation, and then one seizes the life force that is the conduct. And in order to cross the dangerous abyss of meditation, you must have awareness, clear awareness. If you are not clear, then you will become controlled by afflictive emotions. For example, anger arises and you become controlled by it. So you fall into a dull state of unmindfulness, where you then engage in meaningless activities with body, speech, and mind. Meaningless distractions. We engage in all sorts of activities that lead to no results in the future, just distraction. So we think about all kinds of things. We think about plans about the future or what happened in the past and so on. So we are distracted. And in this state of distraction, there is an endless chain of thoughts arising in your mind. Sometimes you think about what happened in the past, then again you anticipate the future, and all of these thoughts, they generate all kinds of feelings in your mind. If you are mindful, then you recognize that this is just confusion. This is actually meaningless thinking, and you will be able to just stop it. And then, of course, you do engage in activities, but there is a clear awareness that discerns what happens in the mind. It knows whether or not afflictive emotions arise, and knows that if an afflictive emotion arises, it is harmful, and it lets it go. So it recognizes and lets it go. So, for example, if somebody insults you, then a resentment against that person arises. Then you recognize the resentment and then you let it go. But that doesn't mean that you cannot talk to the person and make your point. You can still go to the person and talk to them. You can still do things, but be clear on what is happening in your mind. When the mind is distracted, we are accumulating those subtle forms of afflictions until they become really great and many. And that is that it becomes then like earth filling water, so it becomes all muddy and unclear. And then when you're filled with all kinds of emotions and thoughts, the mind is not clear, so you cannot clearly see what to do and what not to do. And this kind of intelligence or wisdom is quite useless, actually, because it's unclear. And so here, meditation really means that once you have understood the view, the insight, the nature of the mind, this meditation means to bring that into your daily conduct, into your daily life. So in all your daily activities, you should never separate from it.
배는 강반는데 면 강바강나 강은 삼고 말이 속 통그 딱딱 통그 양도 통대반는 이 잘. 야, 샤면은 미니 소요 원디 자리디 장아리디 아메리카인데 가리디 디 자월디 조고디 저만 보통 들이 차당 도봐 배는 지는 미 랑바가 마치고라 난 강반 용토가 말이야 그 말로마 하시 오 들은 마치도 나 용토네 라고 삐때서 쳐왔더니 땅에 동행 체험 거래 강에 고소는 제가 고소 설마가 난 소 직접 맞으니까 가야 말이야 배는 마치 가면 코로라는 거나 나한테 오 코로나 가면서 따니가 된 작업을 차 좋아서 적절 좋지 이거 세상 치료로 제가 뜻다 싸우면 다시들 이 같이 성질이 저것들이 화식으로 그래 되는 하나 좋아서 시작되는데 이몽동 앞에나 도착을 싸동 세상을 싸동 도착을 대동 동은 나동지 오 미직비르티 뉴모버지나 코다다 시작이 지뉴모 내가 말이나 그걸 받았지 말이 달라 세상을 가야 여발이 세상 코주람이 말이 로그 나도치래 가서 지나 관람도 봐요 수마지는 이렇게 상을 지들 소시등에 대다 하고는 팀만진 봐지 나동지 남지나 강지마미 자탁동 장상보리지 야야야 딱그다다 가르디라고 했더니 마가라고 자ጆ도 그런지 시험을 거 자탁동지 송하동 자탁동 시랍들이 팀만지마 시랍들이 만지마야 거래 저 상황 좋죠 가르치 보여야지 대마찬 들자다 시랍지 바지 그 뉴모랑이 메바 하고를 스바지 내가 로고요래.
So then it says, what benefit is there in cultivating wisdom where appearances do not arise as one's friends? So appearances arising as one's friends, this happens when you are mindful. When you are mindful, then from mindfulness, this wisdom of mindfulness, the perception of a duality, a separate existence of others and oneself disappears. For example, you're sitting here in this room is filled with people. And if you have no dualistic grasping in your mind, you're gazing across the room, you're seeing everybody, but you are focusing on no one. It is like you're seeing them all at once, like one thing, and you're seeing it all together. As somebody who doesn't have this awareness, they will focus on particular individuals and then label them and say, oh, this is someone from India, this is a Chinese person, this is an American, this is an enemy, this is a friend. So we develop all kinds of thoughts about people when we fixate, when we grasp in our mind. All kinds of thoughts of attachment and aversion arise. For example, there were some older disciples in the past who would even say that if there's one person here, the teachings that they don't like, and they knew that they're coming, then they would say, I can't come today because this person is here. So this is somebody who doesn't have any awareness. They focus on this one person and feel that they can't come if this person is here. And so, and then because our minds are connected, then this other person also actually feels that resentment from that person. For example, if there is someone that you feel doesn't like you, there's something going on. But if this person really doesn't like you, even if this person really doesn't like you, if you just don't think about it, if you don't fixate on that idea, then actually it doesn't matter if this person doesn't like you. But if you think that, oh, this person doesn't like me, and then the other person also will feel that, will also feel that this tension and the sense of dislike, then both actually become very tense and both become like ice blocks. because of the connection of our mind, these feelings are mutually felt. We feel each other's, how the other person feels. So we feel this dislike, this resentment that makes everyone feel uncomfortable. So even if that person really doesn't like you, if you just don't think about it at all, and you just walk straight up to the person and say hello, and very nice, then that person might be quite surprised and wonder what's going on. And then maybe their anger even will go away. So this is what is meant with here, appearances arise as one's friend. So when the appearance can be of different kind. When the appearance is anger, then it turns into, when it becomes a friend, when anger becomes a friend, then it becomes empty clarity. And when attachment becomes a friend, then it becomes empty bliss. And when ignorance becomes a friend, it becomes empty appearance. And so when an afflictive emotion arises towards another person, for example, or let's say if the other person is getting afflicted, if you see someone being really afflicted, then even if that person has a negative thought in their mind right now, it's not always going to be that way. It's just a thought. And that thought is like a cloud. It won't stay. It comes and it goes. For example, you might be angry in the morning and now it's already gone. This moment of anger is just a momentary thought and not the nature of that person. So the anger actually, for this reason, it doesn't really exist in the first place. It just comes up momentarily. It actually has no self-nature. It is just that when you fixate on it, then it causes a lot of trouble. But if you do not fixate on it, that's then your own advantage. Then there will be no problems. So the instruction then is don't grasp or fixate on anything. And when there's no grasping in your mind, then all form are appearing yet empty appearances. There's no grasping. And when there is no grasping at sound becomes empty. For example, if someone tells you how great you are, then you would think, if you don't grasp, you would think that he's just saying that now because he's having a happy moment, but maybe later on when he's not so happy, he changed his mind about me. So sound is just empty. It doesn't really mean much. It doesn't matter really what people say. So if you have awareness, then you will not grasp at anything whatsoever. And then that is how appearances become your friends. And when appearances are your friends, then you will always be happy. The point is to not cling to anything, to sustain awareness, to not become controlled by the afflictive emotions. Because the point to be understood about afflictive emotions is that they do not actually exist inherently. So we cannot give them too much attention or importance because they don't really exist. If you just don't hold on to them, they will just disappear.
능력이 세부터 초박적 봐도 요만 찐 잠을 오 심지 통치 능력이 좀 되래시 또 동이공 되라서 봐도 대화양 쪽 들이 능력이 쪽을 전도요래 능력이 조금 저도 보여서 나한테 상신의 상하니 남이 제발제 당치 정말 좋아서 잘요래 되래 지속 앞에서 말아 지나 대화 소성호 내 지금 남과 강화 쇼스 동네 이제 동네 거 동네 잡속게 말이소 지속 하바
So for a tantric practitioner, for a yogi, that it is referred to this non-grasping at form, sound, and mind is referred to as like empty appearance, empty sound, empty awareness. All arisings, everything that arises is the natural play of primordial awareness when there is no grasping. Then according to the Bodhisattva path, one practices to equalize all experiences of pleasure and pain. It all becomes a state of great sameness. For example, also the practice of Donglin comes in here. For example, when you experience happiness, then you would think, may all sentient beings experience such happiness. And when you experience suffering, then you first recognize that suffering, there's only really one such a thing called suffering, and that's the same in all beings. Everyone has the same experience of suffering. There's only this one feeling of misery and suffering. There's many conditions that lead to suffering, but there's only one experience of suffering, really. So when you suffer, then you think that this is what all sentient beings experience. That's the suffering of all sentient beings. So may they be free from it through my experience. If you think in this way, then happiness becomes your friend, and also suffering becomes your friend. Suffering becomes an encouragement to practice virtue too. So this is how we practice according to the Vajrayana and the Bodhisattvayana, where we practice so that all appearances become friends. Jetsun Milarepa had said that when I'm happy, then may this happiness spread throughout all the reaches of space, may it pervade all beings. And when I suffer, through my experience of suffering, may the vast ocean of suffering of sentient beings become dried out. Then next it says, what benefit is there from extensive hearing without understanding the profound permissions and prohibitions? So those permissions and prohibitions, in general it is said that in the lower vehicle we speak more about prohibitions, and in the higher vehicle we speak more about permissions. But here it's important that we really get a very profound understanding of this. Because otherwise, if we don't really understand the crucial point here, the actual essence of that view, and one cannot really discern between permissions and prohibitions, then one might see some contradictions here in terms of what is allowed and what is not allowed. And then that happens often when there has been extensive hearing, when one has learned a lot. Sometimes when one has learned a lot, then many contradictions actually arise from that. And then there are so many things that one does not agree with, and so on. And then, so basically, if one doesn't understand the crucial point, the essence of all of these teachings, then a lot of learning then is of really no benefit.
락병이 매제나 이제 시바당 이제 피로로리 저는 살이 피바메바야 말에 그 맞게 좀 리시 하고나 저게 좀 되게 시작 매지 되게 샵지 되게 개랑송 또 시험에 제가 나그라니 약고 됐다고 매네요 바로 제가 뒤 피는 거 소소라서 타고요 저는 주시받을 때라고 탐지라고 시대는 다 냠처럼 하고요 얘나한테 다다 주 조랭 그간에 참아지 강시시듯이 시행한테랑 이네 시절에 팬이요리 대고 당하기 라기 시시도 등이 문이 인형타관이 하고 오면서 사나 니 라리데 그만도 사나 지 시에만 잡아쳐 때문에 시에고 강서도 시에는 내 팬들이 나양 땅못 강 시금에 로마도 어석잡 다지 시금시 시에들 빼편도 라마로마 상태에
So it is said that if you don't really trust, if you don't really understand the workings of karma, then there is also one doesn't really understand what should be done and what should not be done. So if one understands maybe karma on an intellectual level, one knows about it, one can speak about it. Some people really understand karma, and ideally then whatever we understand and whatever we tell others is something that we also actually practice. And so if you explain that to others and then really from the bottom of your heart you really want to benefit others with your body and speech, you are willing to forbear any kind of difficulties. You really want to refrain from harming others entirely, and you want to benefit others entirely. And then you actually do that, then that is ideal. But then often it is said that if we just say it, but you don't actually do it, then just saying it is of not so much benefit actually. But then even though that is like the general idea, actually, there are still some benefits in saying things that are true. Like Milarepa, for example, like these teachings by Milarepa, if I share that with others, it will surely benefit them. So we cannot just say that unless you practice it, speaking it is of no benefit. That is not strictly speaking true. For example, now, if you understand karma and then you explain karma to somebody else, and if this other person is actually somebody who is very intelligent, has some insight, then they will understand karma from your explanation. So even if you feel that I'm not always precisely following karma, but you're actually explaining it correctly, you're still benefiting the other person, because the other person then can also apply that. Actually, it is quite difficult to find anyone who actually really practices everything perfectly that they know. When it comes to teaching or discussing the Dharma, for example, you should really actually say or teach whatever you feel that you really know, whatever you really trust. Then it will really become beneficial. Because sometimes people say that I would know how to teach it, and I might understand it, but then I'm not really always practicing it perfectly. So then I can't teach. But that's not true. You still have to teach. And so, for example, this is how I started out myself here in America. When I first came here, I didn't know how to teach at all. And then the reason why I really started it is because the disciples insisted. I kept asking, please teach. And so then to benefit them, I taught. And actually I found that, in a way, it is pushing myself to teach what I do know and what I do trust in, actually has also really deepened my own understanding, has developed my own understanding.
Om mane be me om mane be me om mane be me